You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javanokelo, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
Thank you so much for joining me. Hey Carol, how are you doing? Nice to see you. How is TZ? I'll just bring you up here real quick. One moment. Yeah. Thank you for making the time, It's
You're welcome.
It's just it's a privilege really to have you join me for today's conversation. It's one of the
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's this is a moment I've always been looking forward to. You're one of the people I really admire when it comes to when it comes to content creation, when it comes to journalism, when it comes to event production in Africa. You are really one of the people I have a lot of love and respect for.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Just give me a second. I'm having a technical trouble when I thought I was super prepared.
Okay.
Yeah, we are going to figure this out. Just give me 1 second to switch things around here. How was your drive home, by the way? I know you are driving.
It was
trying
smooth. It was actually alright. There wasn't much traffic. I think I beat the rush hour.
Yeah.
By 1 hour, so that was okay. And I think it's Friday.
Yeah.
Fridays are always somehow laid back in Dar es Salaam. So yeah.
Oh, Dar es Salaam. It's one of those places that I hope I can. Well, I've been to Dar es Salaam a few times, but I'm hoping I can visit again in the near future. But give me 1 second. Here we are. You look beautiful. Thank you again for making the time to join me for today's session of the Daily African Proverbs. We're actually live on Clubhouse as well, and I'm just setting up our space over there. For those who are just joining us, I am here with the incredible Carol Ndosi. It's been a long time coming for us to have this conversation, and I just want to thank you, Carol. Yeah, I want to thank you. Just take a moment and say hi, and I'm going to share, a little bit more about what our conversation is going to look like. But just say hello to everyone who is joining us on YouTube and Clubhouse.
All right. Thank you so much, Simon. Oh wow. As you said, this has taken such a long time, but I'm so glad to be here. Finally, I'm so glad that the stars have aligned, the energies have aligned, and we're here. So peace be upon you, my brother. Peace be upon you, my brothers and sisters who are actually, listening from different platforms. My Clubhouse people, hola. I hope you guys are okay. YouTube, I hope you guys are right. Yeah, let's do this, Simon. I'm looking forward to the conversation. Yeah.
Me too. When I think about all the incredible work you do, I feel that reading about the stuff you do online, on Twitter, listening to you speak is one thing, but okay, this interview is also not enough. I would love to sit down with you and break bread one day. I think that's one of my dreams. This time, if I come to Tanzania, I have to find you, because
You definitely do.
yeah, there's so much I want to learn from you. You're one of the people that currently really in the continent, there are many people who are doing great things, but there are few people that I pay attention to,
Simon, you're going to make me in Tanzania when you they call it, what do you call it? Like when you give people the accolades, when you give people the flowers, they say your head is getting big. So mine is like really getting big right now. My head, like, it's really getting heavy. No, but seriously, I appreciate it.
Of course. So if you're meeting Carol for the first time, Carol is a design thinker, someone who is, forced to reckon with in the creative industry in the continent, and also an incredible entrepreneur. And her work includes the Launchpad, LP Digital, Nyama Choma Festival and Tanzania Shiros. So we are going to go deeper and learn a little more about, Carol's work. But since we are in the daily African Proverbs, we are going to start with an African proverb, and our proverb today is from Mauritius, and it says, you do not give hyena meat to watch over. You do not give hyena meat to watch over. Carol, I just want you to share with us in a moment what comes to your mind when you hear this beautiful African proverb. But I want to just give a few takeaways for our audience members, just a few thoughts to get us started with today's conversation. Typically, when we get together here for the daily African Proverbs, we dissect these proverbs, and the hope is that by the end of our time together, you gain a bit of African wisdom to take away, and hopefully it helps you and becomes a tool in your toolbox for dealing with your day and just dealing with life in general. So number one, do not give an hyena meat to watch over. That's a warning. This is a warning, and you need to pay attention to who you're even giving your time to. Your time could be the meat, your money could be the meat, your ideas could be the meat. So pay attention to who you are giving these things to watch over for you, because at some point you do need people to watch over things for you. And then number two, remember what happens when you give hyena meat to watch over. They are going to devour it. They're probably going to show you how delicious your idea was, how they can spend your money better than you. So pay attention. And then remember the lessons that you learn whenever you've made the mistake to let the hyena watch over your meat. What are the lessons that you learned? And never forget those lessons, because then in the future you'll do better for yourself. And I want to take a moment, Carol, to give you a chance to respond to this proverb. And for those who are just joining us, the format of this conversation whenever I have a guest is that we talk about the proverb, then we talk about a childhood story that inspires the guest that we have. So today we are going to talk about you, Carol. We are going to go back, and you're going to share with us a story from your childhood that when you think of all these incredible things that you do, what is that one story that you feel like, I have to wake up just because of that thing that reminds you that, I'm great, I'm incredible, I am powerful, And then we will now, after that, we'll talk about some of the specific initiatives that you've started, that you are part of, and then from there, we'll listen to our audience members who are going to share with us their own comments on the proverb, and also any comments to you. But also, lastly, I want you to let us know how we can support you. If there's a website you want us to go to, the final part of the conversation is for you to just give us direction. So now I want to create space for you to. You're actually one of the greatest interviewers I've also met. So I know that I should be on the other side, but today I'm lucky.
Absolutely. But I'm going to try. I'm really going to try to not flip this. Because even yesterday I was having an interview and somebody was like, Kara, you understand that you're the interviewee? And I was like, okay, yeah, I need to take a step. Yeah. But it's just, I'd say, what do you call it? A habit? But I'm going to try. So should I just go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, share your reflections on the proverb. The floor is yours. Take the time you need.
Right. So first of all, when I saw the proverb, I actually laughed. I was like, is Simon trying to is he trying to connect everything to what I'm actually doing? So a hyena meat, they call me Mama Nyama Choma in Tanzania. So I was like, okay, this is interesting. But I think I'll echo the warnings that you were giving just a few minutes ago when you shared the proverb. To me, definitely a warning, definitely a reminder that you need to eat with people who want to eat with you, because of how the hyena is and their traits, they will not think of you. They'll always be selfish. They'll always put themselves first. So in that essence, it's again a reminder you need to eat with people who want to eat with you, because next time that they're actually eating, they might, they will remember you as well because you ate with them. But then I think in the context of like when I try to think about my work and just life in general, I think it just reminds me to be very careful about the energy, like you said, the energy that we set out there, like how what you actually welcome in your life, and that be in the form of relationships, partnerships, in business or in work, but also even spiritually, what you actually let in your spiritual realm, and what influences you as a person, and how that then either makes or breaks you as a person, or your personality. So it's something actually very deep when you think about it. But definitely a warning, definitely something that should be acting as a second voice, in that head, that little voice that's always trying to remind you of the pros and cons before you want to do something. So, yeah, that's how I'm looking at it. That's how I'm looking at the proverb.
Yeah, I
And
love it.
Mauritius, oh my God, beautiful.
I've never been. Have you been to Mauritius?
My brother has actually just moved to Mauritius. He's working for a big bank over there right now. But he keeps sending me all these photos, and it looks, oh my God, first of all, it looks very expensive. So I'm like, how much money do I need to actually come out there? But it's really beautiful. The water, oh my God, the sea, the ocean, like it's actually, it encourages me to actually be one with the ocean. Like I don't know how to swim, but Mauritius is calling. Mauritius is calling. So I'm like, okay, I need to learn how to swim. Yeah, I need to be out there. Yeah.
Yeah, man, we have something in common. I do know how to swim, but I'm not so good at swimming. So, man, I'm always apprehensive when it comes to swimming. If I get to the water and I can't,
Yeah.
I can't see while standing, that's a problem.
Exactly. I am so like that too.
Yeah,
So
man.
like that.
Man, I want to just say hi to all our guests. I see Debbie and Lavender and Brother and Rushi have joined us on Clubhouse. And for the sake of those who are on YouTube, thank you again. I'm really privileged. This is the best way to start July. I feel like now July is starting. And also it's the best way to end the week. This is the first week of July. My guest is, the amazing Carol Ndosi. Carol, when I look at all the work you do, I know that it came from somewhere. It started from somewhere. I don't know what it is, but I'll share my story. Just quickly.
Right.
When I was around 8 to 12, I used to distribute milk and bread in our neighborhood. I had a bicycle and I had a zone. My mother was the business owner and she had many people with bikes in our neighborhood in Kisumu. And so from that time, I learned how to connect with people. I learned how to make a little bit of money. I learned how to take care of myself and be a part of the community. And I also learned
Right.
the discipline to wake up early every morning, because for you to work that business for my mom, sometimes you have to be awake at 2 a.m. in the morning. And so these days, that's why I'm doing this show at 6 a.m. in the morning. So I grab my coffee and, and go live and record this podcast. So many people who are accomplished like yourself have something powerful behind them in form of stories and in form of experiences that continue pushing you to do the great things that you do. Before we talk about all these incredible things, I want you to take us back to your childhood, whether it was around the same time as myself, and paint for us
Yeah.
a picture, share with us the sounds that were there at that time, and maybe even some of the foods that you enjoyed at that time. Talk to us.
Right. So it's quite interesting when when I was trying to think of, like, because I have so many stories, obviously, but just that one story, and I had two. I have two, and I couldn't pick which one
Share both.
to share. So let me see. So I'm gonna start with the first one. to answer your question, like what inspired me to be doing all that I am doing today. Um, I come from a big family actually, when you look at it. So on my father's side, there's 10 of us. One we lost one, so there's only 9 left. But from my mom's side, there's 4 of us, and 3 of us grew up together in the same household. And I remember growing up, my mother, I, I don't even know how to explain it, but she's done everything. Like, and I mean, like literally everything. Like she's when I think of an example of a serial entrepreneur, she's the first person that comes to mind because growing up, from what I remember, she started in the corporate world, but she decided to venture into her own business. So she started her own at that time, what they call them, the secretary bureau. That's what was popular in Tanzania. So she was offering administrative services, but I remember the office having really big photocopy machines and, students coming in and, photocopying lots and lots of books. But it was a very busy place. And then from that, I don't quite remember what happened to that business. But then she ventured into something else. She ventured into catering. And before I knew it, she was importing some vegetables and some food stuff from upcountry, bringing them to Dar es Salaam. And but all that was that she was basically the bottom line was, I'm trying to provide for you, because she was the caretaker. She was the provider of the family. So for me, it was almost like she was trying to do everything to make ends meet, and she never chose. Like there was a time she was doing what do you call it, charcoal car. Obviously climate change, yes, we're more conscious about that, but it's something that she actually did. And I remember thinking, like, how does a woman get herself into that kind of business? And the beauty of it is she always used to take us. So even with the catering, like even delivering the food, I remember having to, go with her to these offices to deliver. Even with the businesses, I used to be one of, one of our workers. She used to call them like waged workers. So just thinking about that, I think the inspiration to multitask, but also to try different things as long as you have found and embraced your purpose. I think that motivation came first and foremost from my mother. She was my first role model. She's the first thing that I experienced having or being able to do all these things. So definitely that. It was quite an interesting childhood, I would say. But I'm really appreciative for whatever struggle that I had witnessed her go through, because I do believe that it has built the person that I am today. The second story now was, it's something that's quite horrid, but it's something that I'm till today I'm scared of dogs. I am literally scared of dogs. I am not. First of all, I actually say I'm not an animal person, so I don't have a dog. I don't have a cat. My daughters try to make me get them a rabbit, but I refused. I'm still stalling, so it's going well. But I remember when I was about 8 years old, about 8 or 9. I grew up in a neighborhood where we had the, what do you call them, flats, right? So national housing flats, and so the shop used to be at the end of the street, and it was a quite what do you call it, quite a straight street. So you would have flats on either side of the street, and then there's a road in between. And so the shop was at the very far end, and our flat was at the very beginning. So those a bit of a distance when walking. And I remember, think about half a kilometer or something. So I went to the shop, got whatever that I was supposed to get. I think it was bread or something. Going back, there was this stray dog that people in the neighborhood were saying that they had, what do you call it? Kichachambwa in Swahili. What do you say that in, how do you say that in English? Like they had a mad dog disease. Yes, that mad dog disease. So I see this dog, and we exchange this look, like I'm shocked that I have run into it. He or it is getting ready to attack, or I thought that it was getting ready to attack. So I panicked and I started running. Now, little did I know that when you do that, that's when you trigger the dog, like that's when it actually chases you. So I started running, and there was no one on the street. Like literally, when I tell you there was no one on the street, there was no one on the street. But I remembered when I was running, I remember there was one flat that always had kids playing, downstairs. So in my mind, I was thinking, if only I could get myself, like the only way I would be safe is if I can divert his attention to something else. And the first thing that came to mind was, you need to go where people are. You need to find a place where there are people so that he can find someone else to attack. And so I ran to this flat, and bingo. The minute the dog saw other people, he just started like he was barking from a distance, but he actually left us alone. It actually left us alone. It barked and it went away. So that story, first of all, to date, when I think about it, I'm like, I love my proactiveness. Because the way that I had to actually think so fast, like, how do I get myself out of this? No, like where what would be the actual solution? So I think to date is something that I still do. I'm always trying to think of a plan B, if not a plan XYZ. I'm always trying to be proactive and think like, okay, how can I get myself in this situation? But then how can I also improve? How can I make it better? How can I be more about my purpose? So so the running definitely was a solution, but getting away from the dog and getting the people and treating them as a haven, safe haven, that's like, I still think about that. I'm like, I don't know what would have happened if that dog would have gotten to me. I would have probably been bitten, but yeah.
You distracted the dog, you found you're so clever, and it's much similar to the proverb we are discussing today. You do not give a hyena meat to watch over. You do not
Yeah,
you do not let the dog chase you alone. You find other people for it to chase.
absolutely.
Man,
Yeah,
Carol.
it was quite traumatizing though, just thinking about it, like a 9-year-old having to run for their life in the street, and you can't see anyone to help you, and you're just running and running. I don't even remember if I went home with the bread. Like, that's one thing that I don't remember. Did I still have the bread when I went home? I don't remember that, but yeah.
Man, that bread was not meant to get home, And probably, in African households, probably people were sitting at home with hot tea, just waiting for that bread. And then Carol disappears with the bread, and nobody will believe you when you get home without bread. You're sweating, you're panting, you're like, I have to tell you a story. And they're like, did that really happen? China choma watu, people are feeling the heat of the tea in their mouth. They're like, no, Carol, you must have done something to that bread. Anyway, that's a beautiful story. And I totally love it. But I do, remember growing up, I actually raised crazy dogs like that, So I was waiting for a crazy boy like me. I was very cheeky when I was a teenager. We had a ton of dogs, and we grew up in the ghetto, and sometime we would actually use our dogs to do crazy things. So I'm happy you didn't have insane boys like myself. Anyhow, I want to just bring it back to our audience members for a second here. I want to welcome you all to the African Father in America Club on Clubhouse. And that's also the name of my podcast, African Father in America. And we are recording this for, I think we are close to 230 episodes. I think this is probably going to be the 230th episode. And I'm really lucky today. I'm interviewing someone who is really, I'm going to come back to you, Carol, and ask you for feedback. How did I do? How can I improve? And all of that. So expect to hear from me after this, Yeah, but, as I was saying earlier, all of this incredible work you do today, your work as a design thinker, and your work in the creative industry, an entrepreneur, but especially I want you to take us just a little deeper. Share with us some of your biggest accomplishments when it comes to Launchpad, the LP Digital, Nyamachoma Festival, and Tanzanian Shiros. Share with us your biggest accomplishments, but also feel free to talk about challenges, the things that you've felt really, really challenged by. But before you share, I want to invite our audience members on YouTube. If you're joining us for the first time, remember to subscribe to the channel. And if you are on Clubhouse. Remember to share the link to the room and, ping in 3 to 5 people to join us for today's conversation. Carol, the platform is yours now.
Thank you. Gosh, where do I begin?
Yeah, it's
Field that I engaged myself with. Right after school, actually, that was fresh from school. And so even with my first certificate, like I was actually doing that when I was working. Um, and I did media from 2003 to 2007. Like, yeah, 2007 going on 2008. And I did it all, honestly. Like, it was journalism is journalism, yes, but broadcast journalism. So at some point, I was on front of the screen, doing English news, broadcast news. At some point, I was the one who was preparing the news, elevated all the way to being a sub editor for the English news desk. And then I moved to being to production, producing a current affairs show with my really amazing partner. I still call him partner, Daniel Kidio. And then after that, I think that was 2000, going on 2008. I switched fields. I was like, I want to be on the other end. I don't want to be producing the stories anymore. I want to be on the other end who's giving the stories. So I started freelancing on event management and PR and communications, until I got a permanent gig with this company that I worked for 3 years. But then at that same time, I decided to go back to school because the university and the program that I had enrolled um, for was Open University, which didn't have that. Like, it really depended on the discipline of a person to actually follow through, and I really needed that. What do you call it? That structure. So I was like, no, I need to go back to school. So 2011, I decided to go back to school, and start my own company. And basically, that's how I came up with the Nyama Choma Festival, which is a barbecue festival in Tanzania. It has been running since 2011. We first started out in Dar es Salaam and then branched out to other regions in Tanzania, in Arusha, Dodoma, Mbeya, Mwanza, and Moshi. And so even when the schedule is really crazy, there are two regions that we say whatever happens, the festival has to happen in this region just because of the metrics that we always get. So that's Dar es Salaam and Moshi. But from running and managing and owning the Nyama Choma Festival, it became such a huge platform for entrepreneurs. And with every participation, it was very clear that there was quite a huge gap when it came to the business acumen, amongst the entrepreneurs, but also the skills that they had, the education that they had, but even with the opportunities that they had. Like, because I remember they used to get very excited about participating at our event because it used to give them that income that they're looking for. But it was even evident that with capital, with the provision of capital, with the availability of capital, young people, and specifically women and young entrepreneurs, they could do amazing stuff. So witnessing that, that I would say that was the motivation behind coming up with something like the Launchpad, which is an NGO. I co-founded it with my mentor, who has a background in education. So when he was mentoring me, it was I was like, you're passionate about education, you're passionate about changing education in Tanzania. I'm passionate about supporting women and young people in entrepreneurship and creation of jobs and employment. So what do you think we can do? And so the idea of coming up with an organization, the Launchpad, came about. That was 2017. And yeah, the rest is history. We have participated in a couple of, like, several activities, worked with amazing development partners in, bringing to realization all these projects in Tanzania that have been targeting women and youth in the areas of skills development, particularly entrepreneurship and employability skills, but also 21st century skills that are really relevant in the labor market right now. But also within that, because of, I think, my passion for supporting women, that's where the Tanzania Sheroes initiative also came about. Because I remember being invited to a school that I had to talk to. I had to speak to young girls about my journey, what I was doing at that time. So the Launchpad, but also Nyamachoma Festival. And when I was having a conversation with these young girls in the secondary school, I asked them like, so when you grow up, what do you want to do? Like, well, what is your ambition? Where you want to be? What are your aspirations? And they had really amazing dreams, and they were saying all these, mentioning, name dropping all these amazing professions. I'm like, oh my God, yes, we need to get the girl child in this professions. But then when I asked them, so who's your role model? Like, who are you looking at in that particular field? Like, if you want to be an engineer, who's the female engineer? Who's the woman engineer that you're looking at? And they didn't have a name. They literally did not have names, and they ended up giving me names of what we call public figures and socialites who are popular on social media, because those are the characters that they keep on seeing. That's the content that they are exposed to. But then it also became very evident that we were lacking when it came to the she narrative, specifically on digital platforms, but not just on digital platforms. Just having resources where young girls, where the girl child and even the boy child can go and look at it and be like, you know what, I want to be like Simon. This is Simon's story. This is how Simon arrived at, doing all these things. And this is how I can actually arrive at doing all these things. So I was inspired then to come up with an initiative, Tanzanian Sheroes, to basically amplify women's stories in Tanzania, because we do have a lot of women, hundreds of thousands of women who are doing amazing things in Tanzania, pushing for progress in all these different fronts and avenues, and really rising above all these circumstances and barriers that, keep surrounding them and holding them back. And they're not celebrated, they're not amplified. You can't find their narrative anywhere because it's not there. So my first motivation for that was, I'm going to get these people online. I'm going to amplify the stories. I'm going to make them visible so that the girl child can actually see them and be inspired by them. And that's how the Tanzanian Shearers project came about. I think a digital book in 2019. We were supported by the Embassy of Sweden, and have been supported since by the Embassy of Sweden in Tanzania. And so we made it into a handbook as well. So we have the ebook that is available on the website. Every year we nominate, well, not us, it's a public nomination of 100 women who are doing amazing stuff, and they don't have to be, like have 60 years of experience, but as long as you're bringing change in your society, and you're forced to be reckoned with, we welcome the nominations. So every year we have 100 women that we celebrate through this book that is also distributed in primary and secondary schools across Tanzania, but also through that we have a mentorship program where the Sheroes now, they actually get an opportunity to meet the young girls and, offer mentoring, but also career pathway advice, but also just, girl to girl, woman to girl, that intergenerational dialogue that we believe is actually very important as well. What else did I leave out? Yeah, so, and with LP Digital is just an arm of the Launchpad. It's basically the arm of the Launchpad that focuses on digitalization and digital inclusion. So anything to do with digital skills that we provide trainings in, anything to do with digital rights that we do advocacy in, anything to do with advocacy on against online gender-based violence or online harassment. It all falls under LP Digital, just basically because it focuses on digitalization as digitalization. So it's just to specialize. Yeah, I think that's how I would put it. But yeah, I think I'll stop there.
Man, when I think about all these incredible things that you're doing, and also how you manage to stay humble, you in fact sometimes manage to stay away from your accomplishments. For example, it took a while for me to know that you are the person behind Nyamachoma Festival. So I knew you and I knew Nyamachoma Festival, and I didn't put the two together until like 2 weeks ago when you guys were having the conversation about African festival scene. Yeah. How do you keep your trophies away from who you are, in a way that for example, me and we connected in a way that I definitely feel privileged to even be having this conversation with you. But many leaders struggle with that. Many leaders, they show you their trophy first before they show you who they are. But I think you just lead with humility, you lead with love. And I want you to just share with those who are listening and watching how you're able to do that.
First of all, I always say that, you know what, I'm actually just the face of these things. There are people, I have teams behind me. I have a lot of people, behind me who are rallying, who are doing the work. And I'm the mouthpiece, But no, honestly, I don't know. I feel, personally, I always feel, and I constantly need to remind myself that I've not arrived. I have not arrived. And even it becomes an even more of a brutal reminder every time that you face a couple of pushbacks. So, for example, like if you look at my journey and how I transitioned from the media, well, not really transition because I'm still there, but the way I switched from the profession of media, communications to events, and then from events to development work, and now, international development programs, like my reminder to myself every day is I have not arrived. Like I'm not even halfway. And it took me a while. I think because I started working early. I started working like my first job was at 17. That was my first job. And I remember telling myself, like, you are going to do really big things, but you're going to do a lot of things. And with that mindset, I think I've been able to pace myself over the years to, first of all, remind myself that, whatever that you are achieving right now, you are yet to arrive at your purpose. Because I believe, I don't know, with my spiritual conversation with God and, the divine, I really do believe that I'm I don't know, like I can accomplish a lot of things, big things. That is what the spirits of my ancestors are also telling me every day. I think because of the family that I've been, I come from, and because of the upbringing that my mother gave me as well. So I would say that's how I stay humble, because I always have to remind myself, like, you are nothing. You are nothing. Like, you don't know. I always tell myself, you don't know nothing. Like, and every day, my friend was asking me the other day how many certificates I have from online courses. And I actually had to laugh in embarrassment because there's so many, Simon. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, I'm always constantly on some online course trying to learn something new. But it's not because it's not like it's because, like, I always have to humble myself and remind myself that I really don't know anything. And with the world ever changing and with the emerging trends, like, if I really want to get in to change the Tanzanian narrative, to change the she narrative, I really have to know, what I'm talking about, especially, to just becoming a thought leader. So I think that's the one thing that keeps me humble. Like, I'm like, girl, woman, you have not arrived. You have not arrived. Not even close.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. If you have a pen and paper, I want you to take a few notes. We want to listen to some of our audience members, what they have to say about everything they heard us talk about. And also,
Okay.
we want to just hear their thoughts in regards to the proverb today. You do not give hyena meat to watch over. This is an amazing proverb from Mauritius. But really, as you are speaking about humility, it also speaks to this proverb. You do not give hyena meat to watch over. You don't just tell everybody everything, and it's just beautiful. And I want to go to Lavender real quick. But before I come to you, Lavender, and the rest of our speakers on the stage on Clubhouse, I want to invite you to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't. I also want to, invite you to, make sure you follow the African Father in America Club, while you're in the room on Clubhouse. And if you're just joining the conversation, I have a really, really special guest, Carol Ndosi, and we've talked about amazing things. I'm going to share a summary in a moment. For now, I'll actually go to Brother, because I think Lavender has a phone call. Brother, where are you joining us from? And what are your thoughts on the conversation I'm having with Carol Ndosi and also the proverb, just briefly.
Peace and love, family. It's Brother Earth. I'm calling from the North Carolina territory. And I think it's a very beautiful conversation that you two are having, Simon. And she's sharing a lot of good information or insights on her journey up until this point. But what I'll say to the proverb is what it makes me think of. Probably about 10 years ago, I used to drive a dump truck for this with this company with my uncle, and my uncle had been there since the company had the guy who Dave first bought the company. Anyway, long story short, Dave hired this guy, and you know we was trying to figure out where the guy came from. Like he just popped up out of nowhere. He had made him the vice president of the company and everything. Anyway, after some people had figured out who he was, he had got fired from the other company he was working at because he had embezzled a lot of money. They asked him to pay like $1 million of the money back. He never did. Long story short, my uncle used to all the time tell Dave, you done hired a fox to watch over the hen house. You done hired a fox to watch over the hen house. And Dave was like, he a good guy. Whoop de whoop. Long story short, before it was all said and done, the guy that Dave had hired was the hyena, and he was spending all kind of money, stealing all kind of stuff, and just manipulating the whole company. And they had to end up cutting ties. But that's what that proverb reminds me of. What my uncle used to tell Dave is, you done hired a fox to watch the hen house. Because like you said, as soon as the opportunity come for the fox to do what he do, it's gonna do what it does. I come in love and I leave in peace, Brother Earth.
Thank you, Brother Earth. I see Carol is nodding as you're speaking. We are going to hear her reflections on everything you said in just a moment. Let's hear from you briefly, Lavender. Where are you joining us from? What are your perspectives on the proverb? And feel free to make any comments in regards to the conversation I've been having with Carol Ndosi today. Lavender might be far away from her microphone, so I'll come back to you, Lavender. I'll go to Rushi. Rushi, how are you doing, my brother? Where are you joining us from? And what are your thoughts?
Hey, Simon. I am doing well today. I am in Seattle, Washington, and just enjoying today. This has been a very interesting conversation with Carol. I really have enjoyed her insights of everything she's been saying. As far as the proverb, it's a very interesting proverb in the fact that hyenas are a very interesting animal to me. I think they're the one animal in the animal kingdom that I am very, very afraid of. More afraid than a lion and cheetah and all of those. The hyenas, for one, they travel in clans. And when it comes to eating, they're very relentless. I think they'll probably eat their own if it comes down to that. And also, they have a very scary laugh that it's very daunting when you hear. And also when they eat, they eat the bones, the meat, they eat everything. So they're very ferocious, but they're also very smart, and they're also dominated by the female. The female is the one that does the hunting. They're bigger than the male. The males are very submissive when it comes to hyenas. But I say all that to say that I feel a very strong correlation between this proverb and what Carol's been saying as far as one thing I really agree with her on is the fact that we really don't know much. We feel that we know a lot, but every day you have to learn something new. If that comes with learning and getting certifications or certificates, those are the things you have to do in order to thrive in this world that we have. You have to continually seek knowledge to grow. And
Okay.
just the same way that a hyena every day has to be ferocious to eat. You know, there's lions out there, there's cheetahs, there's all these other animals out there. So if you want that meat, you have to be willing to go above and beyond sometimes what the other person is doing or is willing to do. Sometimes that's you have to have stamina to keep going. If you're hunting, like the hyena, sometimes with hyenas, they when they hunt, they what they do is they tire their prey out by chasing them for 20 or 30 minutes, and then they go in for the kill. So you have to be smart, strategic, and plan uh, to eat per se. So I think that's what I would add to that. And I appreciate the time to speak. And also I appreciate all the wisdom that Carol has been sharing with us today. Santi, thank you.
Karibu, asante sana. Yeah, I love that. I love everything you just shared with us in regards to the hyena. The all those details bring fond memories of growing up with literally hyenas around my grandmother's home. You know, and she told us many stories about the hyenas, many tricks to do when you encounter an hyena, but also even making fun of the hyena. When the hyena was laughing, you know, she was teaching us the things to do. It was just fascinating. Growing up in Africa, in rural Africa, is something special, and I think our children will miss it. Stella, share with us briefly your thoughts as well, and then we'll go to Debbie and Jay, and then come back to you, Carol, so that we can begin wrapping up. Stella, how are you doing? Where are you joining us from? And what are your thoughts?
Thank you, Simon. This is Stella. Hello, everyone. I'm joining from Kenya, and today's proverb is a funny one, and it's also very beautiful and full of lessons. And I want to agree with Rushi on guests' insights. They are so they get you thinking. Like at first, I was thinking like this hyena is so bad because it goes for your meat. But then again, when you look at it the way she has been explaining and talking about putting yourself out there, working towards your goals, and all that, then you realize that the proverb is just full of so much wisdom. Yeah, and I'm also reminded of my childhood. Our home is just next to a river, and it's kind of isolated. And behind the river, there's a very like it's so bushy. So hyenas would pass just right behind our fence, like every evening, especially on rainy days. And they would pass, and we would just stand outside as children just to hear them laugh. And then we would try to laugh like they laugh. I don't know if you can hear me, Simon.
I hear you. I hear you. I can't wait to hear you laugh like an hyena, you know, because yeah. Anyway, it's fascinating. It's fascinating. You don't find people in Seattle who have mimicked the hyena. You know that's biomimicry in real life. You know. Yeah. Go ahead,
Yes,
Stella.
it's a funny laugh. It's a laugh of Jauro. Yeah, so it was so funny growing up and just getting out to laugh with the hyenas. And then again, another thing, when I was trying to get to create the meme for this proverb, and I found this image, and I was like, yes, this is perfect for this proverb because this hyena is literally chasing this. I think it's a gazelle, and there's a big river, and it's not giving up, so it's still going for that gazelle because it has to get that meat. So again, it was reminding me how the hyena is determined to reach its goals. And then there's another one over here in Kenya, a man who likes chasing women just for maybe fun or just to have them or something like that. They are called fisi. Fisi is hyena in Kiswahili. Yeah, and it's really funny because it has stuck, and now there's also a presidential candidate who is talking about hyena testicles. So this hyena proverb is just uh I think I'm starting to love proverbs that are around hyena. And if you look keenly, there was another one we had, I think, last week. Yeah, so thank you. And I enjoy this proverb today, and I love being here. Thank
That's
you very much.
fantastic. Now, for those who are meeting Sarah for the first time and Lavender, they both work together with me for one vibe. And, Stella, I just loved your contributions today. For those who are wondering what Stella said about there's one presidential candidate in the ongoing Kenyan elections whose platform is marijuana legalization and also the introduction of, production like raising of hyenas and selling their testicles in Asia. He's claiming that one testicle of an hyena is like $1 million. Yeah, this guy has some serious stories that he's sharing, but they're all not true. If you fact check them, you find that I don't think the testicle of an hyena is $1 million. We would have run out of hyenas if that was the case. The Chinese would have hunted down all the hyenas in Africa, Anyhow, Stella, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let's go to Debbie quickly. I know that time is of the essence, and then go to Jay so that we are respectful of Carol's time. So, Debbie, how are you, and what are your perspectives on today's conversation? Where are you joining us from?
Appreciation to all. Game Debbie, Maryland. I appreciate the speaker's perspective on female empowerment and lifelong learning. Regarding the proverb, I introduce a twist. What if the meat was given to the hyena as a gift? We're all given gifts, natural skills, abilities, blessings, desires for our goals. Some of us watch over our gifts idly as the meat rots. But the hyena is not idle. He desires his goal, he takes action, he achieves, he receives.
That's true. Don't just accuse the hyena of being greedy. You never know. You never know. I appreciate that, Debbie, and I appreciate your consistency and support of this space. Jay, how are you doing, and what are your perspectives? Where are you joining us from?
Hi, Brother Simon. I'm also joining from Seattle. And very quickly, as always, whenever I hear a brother, I know he's going to drop some words of wisdom based upon his upbringing and his relationship with his family, which I think, helps to make you really humble when you have family members, particularly parents or grandparents or uncles or whatever, aunties, that have that type of mindset to help to keep you grounded. I felt the same way about Johnny when he was often in this room. And Johnny always had so much wisdom because he a young man, well studied. And he was able to spin and turn and twist a proverb in such a way where it was fuller than what was it perhaps intended for initially. And then finally, that humility is huge. Studying, being wise, making wise choices, wise decisions is huge. And that comes with being wise when it comes to other people and their intentions and their motives and their purpose. So you have to pay close attention to individuals and perhaps do a little homework before you give them a role and a responsibility that is major and that's huge and that can make you or break you. All of that being said, the last thing I'm going to say is that when I woke up this morning, one of the first things I saw was someone in Seattle, which I won't mention by name, Simon, because you will know. This person is a millionaire. This person is a young African American, but clearly and female, a millionaire. But she asked for prayers for something huge that was coming up for her. And already huge things have happened for her, a lot. But she, smart, wise, making intelligent choices, but she asked for prayer. She is a humble person about what was possibly getting ready to happen for her in a major way. This is Jay, and I'm finished speaking. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jay. I'm just so grateful that you're here today. And I also agree with what you're saying about brother and Johnny. And when I think about you and Johnny and brother, and of course Stella and Rushi, everyone that contributes here, and our guest today, I feel that we are living the purpose of this show, the Daily African Proverbs, and really these African Proverbs. When I began sharing them online a couple of years ago, I knew that I don't know anything about this proverb. I just love it. I know that it's packed with African wisdom, but I can't get all of it and learn from it on my own. We have to build the village fire, and around the fire is where you can learn. Around the nyama choma is where people open their hearts, So, Carol, as I was thinking before this session, I take a few minutes to prepare for every episode, and I was thinking that at the end of this episode, if I don't ever podcast again, I'll be fine, And so that shows you how much I value you. If this was the very last episode of the African Father in America podcast, I'll feel like I was an amazing podcaster, So share your reflections. What did you hear our guests, speak to? What inspired you out of everything they shared? And also, how can we support you? Where can we go? What action can we take now to support Carol Ndosi? Hey, Carol, you're on mute. You're muted. You're saying something really good. You have to repeat it. Yeah, I think you're still muted. Let me see if I can unmute you from here. Okay. Yeah. Okay. You muted yourself. Now unmute. Just unmute now. I know. Technology. No, I still can't hear you. The same button you pressed. No, it's still not working. Yeah. Hold on. Try and get out and come back in. Let's see if that works. Okay. Thank you so much. If you're just joining us, my name is Simon Okello, and my guest today is the incredible Carol Ndosi. Carol has been a respected journalist in Tanzania for many years, actually, and she's also, an incredible entrepreneur and the founder of Nyamachoma Festival, and also one of the people behind the Launchpad, LP Digital, really amazing initiatives, including Tanzania Shiros, and we've learned so much about her today. We started learning what Carol's, perspectives on today's proverb is. Then we went to, learning, a childhood story from Carol that inspires who she is today. And then we went to, now let me just bring Carol back here with me. Okay.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I hear you now. Thank you. Thank you so much. Carry on.
No worries. Sometimes the tech is not teching. So
exactly. I like when you say that. The tech is not taking.
The tech is not taking.
Yeah.
So yeah, where was I? I think my reflection on everyone else's reflections. First of all, I love Debbie's twists. That really, inspired me to always try to look at things differently. Not having or going with the popular meaning. What if actually the hyena was given the meat? That makes you think about that. But I think most importantly, everyone was almost singing the song of self-agency, being aware of your surroundings, being aware of the energies around you, being aware of the decisions you might have to make. So to me, that kept, echoing in my head. I'm like, okay, so they're talking about self-agency. They're talking about the will to actually do something and to know, or to try to learn of the consequences and the results that you might get. So yeah, I think that's what resonated with me across all the contributions. Um, how can people support me? Oh, wow. So one of the ways we can support me, I think we've already had a conversation about this, Simon, but so I've been running the Nyamachoma Festival for 10 years, and a lot of, as much as I have a team, but a lot of, for example, the creative, into it has been driven by myself. So I'm now finding myself at a creatives, what do you call it? I'm having a creatives block, and because of the standards that we have built for the festival, I'm like, we've almost done everything. Like every new idea that people are trying to bounce off us, I'm like, we've already done that. We did that in 2013. We did that in 2017. We did that in 2019. So at this point, I think I'm looking for more collaboration across the continent. Across the region, across the continent, beyond the continent, on how we can really use the brand as a celebration of African culture, because that's basically what it has become. With every festival, we have more than 5,000 people convene in one place, and eat and drink and celebrate. And with that, also we have the artists and the musicians also have a platform, but also business people. So I believe it's a platform that perhaps if we try to collaborate with other people across the continent as well, across the region, it might become more of a bigger avenue for the creatives in across the continent and even beyond. But yeah, if we can do a partnership, a collaboration, I'm always welcome to it. You can check us out on Instagram, Nyamachoma Festival. That's Nyamachoma Festival. We're also on Facebook, the Nyamachoma Fest. We're also on Twitter, Nyamachoma Fest. But you can also follow my work on the Launchpad. Our website is www.thelaunchpad.or.tz. My work on digital rights and LP digital can be found at www.mitandaonasisi.or.tz. I'm going to repeat that, www.mitandaonasisi.or.tz. We actually also produce limited YouTube series to encourage young people online participation, but also promote meaningful usage of the internet. So we're also on YouTube. You can find our channel there. It's called Mitandao na Sisi as well. With the Tanzanian Shiros, we're on Instagram. We're also on Twitter. 100 Tanzanian Shiros. If you write that, it will just pop up. But yeah, let's connect. My own handle is at Carol Ndosi on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Snapchat, on LinkedIn. I think I'm everywhere. I just found out this really cool, amazing app also called Be Real. I don't know if you've heard about it, Simon.
No,
But
not
it
yet.
actually encourages us. It actually encourages us to be real. So when you take a photo, it doesn't allow you to edit it. It has no filters, and it shows your surroundings. So it will take a selfie of you, but the front camera, would actually be taking a picture of your surrounding. And so, in a way, it's actually encouraging people to be more authentic, with their presence online. So yeah, you need to get on that.
I have to get on that. And
Yeah.
also I have to get in your inbox about the collaboration opportunity. Really,
Yes.
I can't thank you enough, Carol. I can't thank you enough. Quickly, I want to give a shout out to Sambaza Podcast, who is joining us on YouTube. And he says, congratulations on all the incredible work with Nyamachoma. 10 years is no joke, but really, Carol, thank you for making the time. I know how busy you are, but I truly want you to know that this has been an humbling moment for me. And you'll see me in your inbox not too long from now, asking for collaborations. And yeah, if you can make it to Seattle, Madaraka Festival is August 13th and 14th, and there is space for you. There's space for you to to come and enjoy, and then give us feedback, and then we can collaborate and make it better. But I want to see Nyamachoma Festival in Kisumu, in Nairobi, in Seattle, Yeah. Anyway, thank you again. Do you have any closing comments before we wrap up our session today?
Nah, I'm just going to remind everyone to be present, in everything that they do. Just be present. Show up, be present, embrace that energy. And if it's not right for you, then walk away. If it's not right for you, then walk away.
Yeah.
But be present. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Carol. And, be present. That's the message to all of you who are listening and watching. Thank you again for all your support. If you're just joining us, please remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel. The link is at the top of the Clubhouse room. And if you're already on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And we will see you next week, Monday to Friday. I'm taking the weekend off. 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time is when we do the daily African Proverbs. And if you want to catch this conversation, if you didn't catch it at the beginning, it's going to be available across all podcasting platforms, from Apple Podcasts to Spotify in the next hour or so. But it's going to be available on YouTube instantly, so you can catch it there immediately. Carol, have a nice weekend and take care of yourself. Asante sana.
Thank you so much, Simon. Peace be upon you, my brother.
Thank you so much. Peace to you too. Bye.
African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.